is ready to go and set up. So we've got quite a few dishes to go through with you this afternoon, some special little treats that we think will make your grazing platters look pretty sensational. We're going to start off with Kim. Most of you will have seen Kim at some other cooking classes by now, and Kim is going to take us through a relish and a camembert dish. So over to you, Kim.
Hi everyone, I'm going to do camembert with cranberries and almonds, and while my relish is cooking, at the end I'm going to steam the camembert on the top, so we're sort of doing two recipes in one. But first of all, we're going to make the topping, so we're going to start cooking, and I've got 50 grams of brown onion and measuring cup in, and chopping on speed 5. Scrape down the sides. So having something like this is really nice with the brie or the camembert, that when it's steamed, it actually goes nice and soft. Sorry. Now we're going to add 80 grams of dried cranberries and 40 grams of salted butter and a tablespoon of brown sugar, tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, a tablespoon of port, which must be about 30 years old, I'd say. So it should be good. And then we're going to put the measuring cup in, and that is going to cook for 5 minutes at 100 degrees on reverse, speed 1. And as I was saying, there's quite, if you look up camembert or brie on Cookie Do, there's actually quite a few recipes that steam the brie and either make a pesto or a nut mix or something like that. And you can do your relish and then steam your camembert or brie and then serve that with your relish, and it would be really, really lovely to have as a side with it. So, and I think now we're going over to Vicky. Vicky Bennett.
No, Vicky Jo, isn't it?
Yep, Vicky Jones. I'm just changing spotlights.
It's all right, I'm ready anyway.
That's all right. So we are spotlighting.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm making the party pretzel bites today, and I'm going to do a taleggio cheese sauce, which is actually going to be a brie cheese sauce because I didn't get any taleggio. So, but we can swap things around, so that's okay. Okay, so the first step is to lightly grease a large bowl with oil and set aside. Because I use the thermomat, I'm not going to do that step, so we're just going to skip through there. Okay. Our first step is to place 400 grams of milk into our Thermomix. And we're going to heat up some yeast. And this one is one that we need to let sit for 45 minutes to let it rise. But of course, I've already prepared one earlier, so we will get to that shortly. But I'll just show you how simple it is to make the dough for this. This is also one that you can get the kids to help with. There's a bit of rolling out to do, and you roll it into like a snake shape. So we've got 2 teaspoons of dried yeast. I've measured it all out. So there's our yeast, and we're just going to pop our lid on and heat that milk up for 2 minutes on speed 1. Now, I made these the other day, and I made probably about this large. These are like a pretzel. So what we're going to do, we're going to make the dough, you let it sit and rise, then we're going to cut it out and roll it and then chop it into shapes. Then we're going to pop it in some boiling water and then cook in the oven. So these are cooked like a pretzel. So you get that chewy outer bit around the outside by boiling them in the bicarb in the boiling water. So yeah, so they look great on a platter. we're also going to be doing when we plate up at the end, we're going to show you a whole lot of tips and tricks about how to plate up as well. So this is as simple as I said, just warming up our milk and our yeast. And then I'm going to throw some salt and some flour in. And that's about it. Now, the good thing about this dish too is it's egg free. So it is something with people with allergies to be mindful of. You can
Vicky, can you use alternative milks or does it have to be normal milk? You're muted there, Vic, somehow. Oh, yeah. So you can use plant-based milks?
Yes, I would definitely have a go at using. I haven't made it with that, but I don't see why it wouldn't work, to be honest with Vicky.
You could experiment.
Yeah. And then, of course, the other thing that looks good on a platter too is even just the Brazilian cheese puffs. And you can fill them with, a bit of salmon mousse or something like that. So they're another one that look really good. They're nice to have things that people can just pick up with their fingers and have a bit of sauce on them as well. I think that looks good. Besides the meat and the cheeses and the dips and all the other things that you're going to see in the little pies and all the other amazing things you're going to see today. Okay. So now we're going to pop in our baker's flour. We've heated up our yeast and our milk, so it's just sort of warm. And now we're going to pop in 600 grams of baker's flour, which of course I've already pre-measured. So then 2 teaspoons of sea salt flakes. So we will use the teaspoon. How cool are these? These are the Mix Shop rose gold spoons. They're just wonderful.
I think I need to buy some.
They're really lovely. Really, really nice. I've only just got them.
I might hide them in my dishwasher when she packs up tonight.
Okay, so pop the lid on, and this is just a spin because we're using a mode here, so we're using the knead mode, and that's going to knead for 2 minutes. Whilst that's going on, I might move over and show you what I've already prepared. Now, we did make a cocktail as well, people, so that's what you're here. So here is our dough we made earlier. What you can do is this. Punch it down. Always punch it down when you. And then it's just a matter of cutting it into 4. We might need to get that water boiling again if I could please remember. So we just got it into 4. You know, I love doing dough and bread and things like that in the Thermomix. It just is amazing. Okay. So it's just a matter of rolling it into like a sausage sort of a shape. This is one where you can get kids to help. Can you get me a knife? Or even pastry cutter, which is what I should have bought and didn't. Thank you. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just rolling that out. Got a nice long sort of a sausage sort of a shape. And now what we're doing is we're just cutting on the angle. So you've got sort of like a triangle shape. So that's the sort of shape that we're looking at. We can just pop them over there and then you just go the other way. Now I'm making them a little bit smaller than I did the other day when I made them for the first time. Just because I think they look better. Everything looks better smaller on a platter, I think. And it's just a matter of cutting them into pieces. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pop them in here, and I'll need a slotted spoon if I could too, Megan.
Nice to have an assistant.
being my kitchen hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop them into the boiling water for 20 seconds, just to, as I said, to give them that crunch, or that chewiness, not a crunch. And that's what we're going to do with the rest of them. So you can see what I'm doing here, it's just putting them into those shapes. So that's the sort of size that we're looking at. Oh, we're over here now. So that's the sort of size we're looking at. Now, in here, I've got some boiling water, and I've also got some bicarb. Or I will have some bicarb shortly. I think it's about 3 teaspoons of bicarb from memory. 2, 3. Okay. So I'll just show you some of these, and I'll keep working along, continuing to make them whilst we head over to someone else. But just so you can see what I'm doing here, we're just going to throw a few of them in. Because they're so little, and it's quite a large saucepan, I could probably get away with putting most of the ones for that ring, that quarter of it in now. So it's just a matter of stirring them around, only about 20 seconds, and then you can start to take them out. And then what we do is we're going to pop them onto the tray here, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of extra salt over them as well. And then we're going to pop them in the oven. So here we go. You can see they've risen a little bit from, not a lot, but a little bit. And they will rise again when we pop them in the oven as well. Okay, last couple. Okay, and then we're just going to spread them around a little bit. A little bit of salt over the top of them. You could probably put sesame seeds if you wanted to try sesame seeds. There's the 2 teaspoons of salt in the mixture, but I reckon sesame seeds would go quite well. So we're going to pop those in the oven, 180 degrees, just till they start to turn brown, really. I'm going to continue on with the recipe, so I'm not telling you. Okay, 2 baking trays. Divide into 4 into the rope, bite-sized pieces. Okay, so it's 200. So we're going to pop them in the oven for 200. And about 12 minutes until they're golden brown. And then we can take them out, and you can come back to me shortly, and I'll be making a cheese sauce. Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, I'm just going to change these spotlights. Hang with me for a second, and we're going back to you, Kimmy. Hang on. Turn. Remove that spotlight. Replace spotlight. Okay.
Okay. So what I've done is I've cooked that mixture for 5 minutes, and then I've added 50 grams of slivered almonds, and then it cooks for another minute. And then we're just going to pour that into the bowl. And I will show you what this smells really, really nice. It reminds me of going out and having a really nice steak with a creamy port sauce or something. The port's a really nice flavour in this. And then I'm not going to wash the bowl or anything. I'm just going to pop it back on to make the relish. But I'll just show you this. So I've just popped it into a little thermoserver. And I don't know how clear that is, but it's really lovely and warm, and the cranberries have cooked down nicely. So we're just going to set that aside. Okay, and now I'm going to start cooking the relish. So I want a tablespoon of olive oil. Just like that. And 600 grams of red onions. And then we're going to add 30 grams of dark brown sugar. Now, this is different to your normal brown sugar. It's actually a lot darker than brown sugar. And to me, it's not as sweet as normal brown sugar. Then we're going to add 100 grams of red wine. And 40 grams of balsamic vinegar. And make sure you buy a really nice balsamic vinegar if you're using it in your pickles and relishes and things like that. We're also going to add 40 grams of dried apricots. 1 green apple that I've just cut into quarters and taken out the seeds in the middle. And then 1 teaspoon of black pepper, which is ground black pepper, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, and a teaspoon of yellow mustard seeds. Okay, and then I'm going to put the measuring cup on. And we're going to cook that for 40 minutes on 100 degrees at speed 1.5. Now, because this actually makes quite a lot, while that's cooking, I'm actually going to pop my Varoma on top. And in my Varoma, I've got some glass jars that I am going to steam as well to sterilize them, because I know for what I'm going to use this afternoon on my platter, there's going to be a lot left over. So this would be a really great recipe to make closer to Christmas for your Christmas hampers. So I'm just going to pop the lid on that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set the timer for 25 minutes, because at 25 minutes when that comes off, I'm going to take my glasses out and I'm going to put on I've got double brie here, and I've just put a piece of foil on the bottom with one of our Varoma liners with that, and I'm going to cook that then for 12 to 15 minutes. You don't want to cook it too long because you don't want it to melt and be all drizzly. So at 25 minutes, I'll stop this, take my jars out, put this on, and then I'm going to cook it. I'll start for 10 minutes because it needs to rest also for a couple of minutes at the end before you actually put it onto your platter. So I'll set that off. Sorry, I'll just press that one, put it onto speed 1.5, and I'll see you in 25 minutes. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Kimmy. All right, we are going over to Ben, who is going to make some Parmesan crisps with us. Are you right, Ben?
Good to go, thank you. Now, I probably got the easiest recipe. Well, I'm doing 2 recipes today, but the first one that I'm doing, which is the Parmesan crisps, is probably the easiest out of everyone. All right, so we'll get cracking. It'll only take a few minutes to do. So what we do first, obviously, we put our oven on for 180 degrees and we line 2 baking trays, which I've already done before this, so it's ready to go. All right, next we put in 120 grams of Parmesan cheese, which I've just cubed up. And we also put in half a teaspoon of dried basil. Now, there is an optional extra here to put some cracked chili in there as well. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of chili, and I think for the flavors you've already got, it doesn't really need it, but if you want to put it in, you can. So I'm going to go straight past that option. Put my lid on with my measuring cup, and that's just going around on speed 7 for 8 seconds. That's done. So for anyone curious, that's what it's basically taken it down to. So it's taken it down to basically a fine crumb. What you do then, now this makes 10. So you've got to basically measure it out to 10, but I just got my measuring spoon, my tablespoon measuring spoon. But you do 5 roughly on each tray. Basically, once you've done each of these, you just need to leave a bit of space as well between them, because they do tend to separate. Oh, sorry, not separate, spread. That's the wrong word. So that's the first one. Now, what I do then at that point is I just flatten them down with a little spatula. just to get them a bit flatter. Okay, and now that is going to go into the oven for approximately 7 to 9 minutes. Now I have a hot oven, so if anyone wants to see, that's what they're like. So I'm going to stick those in for 7 minutes and see how they come out, and I'll keep going on to the next person, and I'll keep going with the other 5. So quick and easy, really easy.
It's easy, Ben.
All right, so the next person is me. I'm just quickly going to paste that recipe in there for you. So I am making the pork and chicken terrine, which is really lovely. So I practiced this dish yesterday just to make sure that I had it right. And we had people pop in at about 4 o'clock. So after it sat in the fridge for a little while, we actually got to get it out and taste some of it. And it was really nice. So a very nice way to get back into entertaining. Let me just readjust this one so that you can see. I think you see on the screen, for those of you that don't yet have a TM6, the problem will be with you, if we only spotlight that one, you probably won't hear me. Will you? You might have to spotlight both, see how it goes. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is add in some pork fillet and some chicken breast fillet, which I've diced up, and I've had sitting in the freezer for about an hour. So we're going to make mincemeat out of it, and when you make your mince, you just want it to be partially frozen so that rather than sort of mushing, it really chops quite nicely. So I'll add that in there. So that's the pork and the chicken. Put the lid on. And we're just going to use turbo to do our mix. So it says to use the 1 second turbo 7 times. So all right, and you can hear that towards the end, it's not making as much noise because it is chopping up a bit finer. So I'll show you what that looks like. You can see in there. So it's got a beautiful consistency. It's not too fine. With this terrine, we want it to have a little bit of texture. So I'm just going to pop that back in my bowl. So you can mince all of your own meat. We mince our own meat when we make hamburgers because the flavour of the meat when we use actual steak to mince instead of pre-bought mince is just next level. But it's a really nice way to know what's going into your mince. Okay, so without cleaning, we're adding in some onion and some garlic. And some parsley, which I've got to chop off my bush. And some thyme leaves. And back on. And we're just going to chop that for 3 seconds on speed 5. Give that a little scrape down. You can see that's just roughly chopped the onion. Again, we don't want it chopped up too much or we don't have that same texture in the finished product. All right, so that's going to saute for a couple of minutes. While that's going, when that finishes, I'm going to add a little bit of white wine and put it on to saute again for a couple more minutes. So what we might do is skip over to someone else. You don't really need to see all of that cooking. We're going to go over to Di, who's doing some phyllo pies for us.
Hi everyone. So I'm actually making spinach and chorizo phyllo pies. And I'm sure that they're going to be really, really lovely. So just start cooking. I've preheated my oven to 200 degrees and greasing a 6-hole Texas muffin tray with oil and set aside. So I'm just using the regular muffin tray from the mix shop, the rose gold one, instead of the Texas size huge one. Just because on a platter, they're nice that you have smaller serves. You could also use the mini one as well, but you just need to be cutting your phyllo a lot smaller. 1 chorizo sausage goes in, just cut into chunks. So that goes straight in. And 1 potato also just cut into pieces. Pop the lid and the measuring cup on. And that's just going to chop that for 4 seconds on speed 5. Okay, keep the measuring cup inserted and then turn that on to speed 0.5, which is our soft speed, and that's just going to cook away and the natural oils that will come out of that chorizo. But I'll just show you how finely that chopped it up before I do. So that's our mix there, nicely chopped and a great size to go into our little pies. So that's going to cook now for 15 minutes. With my phyllo pastry as well, I bought phyllo pastry that was frozen. You can actually buy this in either the freezer section or the chilli section in the supermarket. And you'll need to, if it's defrosted, you'll need to bring it to room temperature in order to unroll it and take out the slices that you need. And then you can just pop it back in the fridge. I've got my slices, 6 pieces of phyllo, just on my chopping board here. And I've got a piece, a tea towel that's just been dampened and it's covering that so they don't dry out. So phyllo pastry is quite fiddly to work with. If you don't keep it covered and moist, it will dry out and it will crack. So keep it covered and you're right to go. All right, cooking away for 14 minutes and I'll see you guys again soon.
Thanks, Di. All right, we're going back to Ben, and Ben's doing some breadsticks. Over to you, Ben.
Okay, sorry, just give me a second. Hey, Google, stop. I just had my 7 minutes for my Parmesan crisps, so we'll just pull them out of the oven so we know how they went. Okay, so as you can see, they've come out all gooey and sticky. Now I'm just going to leave them on there for a few minutes to let them harden and cool, and then I'll be able to break them up. All right, so now I'm going to be making some sun-dried tomato and rosemary, what do you call them? Breadsticks. So yeah, so basically what I've done already previously prior to starting today is I prepared my dough. So it's just a standard dough mix, which you basically use water, yeast, flour, sugar, salt, and you just and olive oil, and then you just leave that to brew for about an hour. So I've done that already. Now what we're going to do is make the filling. So that is okay, 1 teaspoon of dried fennel seeds. Yeah, I'm doing 2 because I've got a half teaspoon measuring cup. 1 to 2 sprigs of rosemary, just the needles only. So I've already prepared those. And so we're just going to put the lid on now. And take that for speed 9 for 40 seconds. So basically what that's doing is it's milling up our fennel seeds and our rosemary, and you use a fine mix, and it's actually got a little bit of a smell. The aniseed of the fennel is really coming through already. All right, so now we are going to put in 80 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. I've drained the oil out of it, so that's ready to go. And once again, we're just going to really finely chop it up into a paste. So that's 4 seconds on speed 5. All right, so my oven's still preheated from when I did the crisps. So now what we need to do is I'm going to put the dough onto the board. Now I've pre-floured the dough. Now you're going to need a board that's approximately 50 centimetres by 30 centimetres. I'm really lucky. My chopping board is basically that size. So I flour the dough. Now we're just going to roll that out till it's about the shape of the dough. Sorry, the shape of the board. Okay, so we've got that shape of the board now. So we're going to now put our mixture onto there. So it's like it's probably the best way to describe it. It's probably like a chunky tomato paste. All right, so that's done. I'm going to get my spatula now, and I'm just going to really spread that out right across the mixture as evenly as possible. It's a bit of a thick mixture, so it's a little bit, just got to give it a bit of time. It'll slowly warm up and spread out eventually. All right, so that's pretty good now. So what we're going to do now is you basically fold it in half. So along the vertical axis, you fold it in half. Like that, okay? Sort of make sure it's all sort of covered. And what I tend to do is just basically once you do that, you then need to cut horizontally. So that way, obviously. Now I'm just going to take off the excess dough so it's sort of a little bit neat. And basically you need to cut it now into 1 centimetre strips, okay? Now with these, what I did is take one of the strips. I won't do all of it just now. Just give it a bit of a pull and pat it down to make sure it's connected. Starting at one end, you just want to twist it. So just twist one end and leave the other end flat, like that. Then once you've got that, you then can put that on your baking tray. All right, so I'll do one more. Just make sure it's joined together properly. Leave your bottom end flat and then just twist it. That gives you a really nice twist. Now, obviously, the pastry does stretch and it will get cool. So you've sort of got to move reasonably fast, and they can be a little bit messy. So you just got to move a little bit fast with these. Particularly once you've got them on the board, you're okay. So you simplistically do that. I'm not going to do that all now because it's going to be really boring watching me roll those. So basically, once you do that, you put them onto your prepared tray and you bake them for 20 to 25 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. All right. So basically until they're golden brown. If you need to, you may need to cook them in batches, okay, because you may not have tray size depending on how many slices you get out of it. But the thing to be aware of is even after they're cooked for 25 minutes, you need to leave them in the oven for at least, I think it's, yeah, at least a few hours you need to leave them in the oven for, because what that do will dry them out and make them nice and crispy and really good to do using your dip and all that sort of thing. So as you can see, I've made some previously. Now, I probably made these a bit long because as you can see, some of them are actually quite long, but they're really good. You can see the fennel and the fennel and the sun-dried tomato mixture in there, and they're really tasty. So I'll stick these in the oven now, and we'll see how we go.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. All right. We are heading over to Diane. And Diane is one of our new consultants. So this is her first time presenting at a cooking class. I've just got to find her. There she is. All right, Diane, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming this afternoon. I'm going to be making beetroot hummus in my beautiful TM6. So I'm just going to go start cooking. I'll just take my lid off, and we've got some garlic. So I've got 2 garlic cloves. We'll pop those in. Hit next. Then we've got our chickpeas. So I've just got 200 grams of canned chickpeas straight in the bowl. We hit next. Then we've got some beetroot that I cooked up earlier today. So I'll pop that straight in as well. Hit next. 30 grams of lemon juice. That one in. Hit next. And then we've got some tahini, which is milled up sesame seeds. I'll put that straight in as well with my trusty spatula. And we've got some fine sea salt. So I'm just using Himalayan sea salt today. Straight in. Hit next. Then we've got 50 grams of extra virgin olive oil. I'm just going to pop that in and use my scales. So the TM6 measures in 1 gram increments, so it's spot on. There we go. Hit next. 1 pinch of curry flour, so I'm just using good old Keen's curry today. That in. And then we've got a pinch of ground cumin. That one in as well. Hit next, then we'll put our lid and measuring cup back on. Next, and we're going to go from speed 5 for 1 minute, gradually up to speed 10. So put that on now. Wait for the blades to start. Going to stop that now because I've heard the contents go up off the blade, so I'm just going to use my spatula just to pop it all back down again because we got a bit of an air bubble. So good idea is to listen to your machine while it's blending so that you can stop it if you need to. We'll just start up again. Just going to stop it there because I already did 20 seconds in the beginning. So what we can do with our spatula is we can use it in the bowl, and it's got a handy guard there so we don't touch the blades. So we've done that, and that's what the beetroot hummus looks like. Beautiful and pink.
Could we use the, the pre-cooked beetroot that you can buy, the baby beetroot packet that you get at Woolies? If you have
Oh, yeah.
If you can't get
I
the,
don't know what they put in there, Vicky. So I just got some fresh beetroot and cooked it up on the stove.
I use the fresh beetroot, but I just thought maybe the alternative people could look at that. Yeah.
Yep, you could definitely use that. Yep. So I've got that there. I'll pop it in I've got a little mini thermo server, which is super cute. So it's a tiny little, our baby thermo server. So you can pop your dip or anything that's a small quantity straight in. So when we're getting it out of the bowl, we're just going we're going clockwise, against the blunt end of the blade, so we don't chip on our spatula. When you are getting things out of the mixing bowl, it's really handy to hold it on that side of the triangle, which I call. And we've got it there, so
It looks delicious.
really nice.
Yeah, love it. I have to try that one.
Beautiful and red. So yeah, another handy thing is the little thermo server fits in most platters, I think. So I've just got a platter here that my darling husband has put together for me, and it just sits right in the middle, and that's it. It's done. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane, and well done getting up there so soon into becoming a consultant. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Going to head back to Vicky Jones, and Vicky is going to make the Tellagio cheese dip to go with her pretzel bites. So let me just, which one do you want? The little one? All right, hold on, I've got to find the other camera. Sorry guys, there's lots of technical stuff going on here. All right. Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to make the sauce to go with those cheese balls, and I will show you them shortly because they're out of the oven now as well. Okay, so as I said, this is going to be a brie cheese sauce. So off we go. 150 grams of thickened cream. This is a really, really simple one to make. A couple of ingredients, and that's all. So we have got 150 grams of thickened cream. Yeah, I was going to say that second tray might be ready to come out now. I usually put a little bit extra so that I'm not scraping the container, but there seems to be a bit on the lid here. And now I'm going to pop in the cheese. So it says on here to remove the rind. I found the easiest way to remove the rind was not to try and cut it off like you can see I did here, but rather, I'll show that up so you can see it. What I did was I scraped it. So I just used the knife and scraped the white part off the cheese, and it was really simple to remove the rind. So now I've got 150 grams of cheese with the rind removed and cut into small squares. Okay, we'll be over, that's okay. Extra cheese is good. And now we need our salt and pepper, which I've put away. Silly me. Cleaning up before I need to. So that's 2 pinches of black pepper. And 2 pinches, whoops. No salt, no salt. Wow, I was going to add some salt. Okay, put the lid on. 5 minutes, speed 1. Now, while that is doing that, I'm just going to very quickly show you. So these are the pretzel bites. So as you can see, they come out a bit bigger than what they were when I cut them up. So they do grow a little bit. Got a little bit of salt over them. You can serve those cold or you can serve them warm. It's entirely up to you. And we'll serve some of these on our platter with a bit of that cheese sauce once it's finished. So I'll hand back over to Megan.
Okay. Are we going back to me? No, we're going back to Di. All this running around. Di, we're coming back to you.
Okay, so my chorizo and potato filling has finished, and it says to place in a large bowl and set aside, but I'm just going to pop that aside, keeping it in my bowl, and I'm going to get my second bowl. So it's no different to any other washing up, but second bowls come in handy for so many reasons. Okay, so adding in 120 grams of fresh baby spinach leaves. So really nice fresh baby spinach. Just pop that straight into the bowl and hit next. So at this point, you can actually pop your spatula into the lid, and that's going to help blitz up that spinach. So insert the spatula in and mix while the thermix is running. So 5 seconds on speed 6. Down so it comes together. Add in 3 eggs. But that's our spinach anyway. It's really nicely finely chopped. It doesn't take much to chop up that spinach. So 3 whole eggs go in. 100 grams of mozzarella cheese cut into pieces. Now I've used a firm mozzarella in a block, not the bocconcini or that kind of stuff. So it's not a high moisture mozzarella. You can swap out for feta cheese if you like. 2 pinches of salt. So if you do swap out for feta cheese, don't add in the salt because it's quite salty. 2 pinches of salt, 2 pinches of black pepper. I'll just give a little grind. Hit next. Pop your lid on. And onto speed 4 for 5 seconds. That's just mixing that spinach and egg mixture together. Okay, now we're going to add in our chorizo and potato and just stir that through. So here's our cheesy spinach. Add in the potato and chorizo mix. That's cooked through. So that's a good thing about this, because it's already cooked through for that 15 minutes, the potatoes will come together really nicely in the oven and not be a little raw. You don't want to be cooking your fillet too long. So just bring that together, mix it up a little. Now with your pastry, the next step says to brush each of the 6 pastry sheets with filler with oil and then lay them on top of each other. I actually used an oil spray bottle instead of brushing it on. So I just used a oil spray bottle and put those together and kept them covered with a moist tea towel. So I'm just going to scoop up one of my squares, cut into 6 even squares, and use to line the prepared muffin tray, keep the excess overlapped. And you're just going to spoon a small amount of our mixture into the middle. So just like that, and then fold it up and over. And then that's going to get put straight into my greased rose gold oven tray, just in a little parcel. And I'll continue with those and then pop them straight into the oven for 15 to 18 minutes. Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Di. All right, we are coming back to me now to finish off. I think I can do the spotlight. To finish off the terrine. So, okay, so I added the white wine into that onion mix and then just wanted to cool for 5 minutes. So I've just taken it off just to let that cool down a little bit. And we're going to add the mince in. And 50 grams of baby spinach. 50 grams of pistachios. 40 grams of dried cranberries. egg. I forgot the egg. And we were just laughing because we just actually heard one of my chickens outside letting everyone know they'd laid an egg. Should have reminded me. Sea salt and pepper. And lid on. And that's just going to mix for 20 seconds on reverse speed 5. So it's just bringing everything together. And it sounds like it has done that. All right, so this mixture actually makes enough to make 2 terrines. So what I've done here is laid out some prosciutto on a piece of foil. So if you use the whole mixture, we do 2 of these. And it actually makes, so this is the one that I made yesterday, makes 2 big terrines this size. So it makes a fairly good sized mixture. I'm just going to spoon it down the middle of this prosciutto. You could get out a piping bag if you wanted to, but we're going to roll it up anyway. So those lovely cranberries and nuts and things, this would be really nice for coming up to Christmas and sort of those festive flavours. Right, so that's about half. And all I'm going to do is fold this prosciutto over and wrap it up. And then I'll wrap it in the foil. And roll it up. And just clip those ends. Okay, and so that now goes into the Verona dish. I've made that one a little bit longer. And we put that over a litre of water and it cooks for 50 minutes. Now I found that was plenty of time and that will steam. You might want to just cut into it and just check that it is cooked all the way through. You don't want any raw chicken bits left in there. And then it goes into the fridge to cool. So unwrapped, covered in cling film to cool, and it sets nice and hard like that. And we'll show you what that looks like in a minute when we plate it all up for you. All right, who are we back to? Back to you, Vic? Yep, all right, I'm just going to turn you around and go over to Vicky, who's just going to finish off her cheese sauce.
Okay, so the cheese sauce is finished. Now, you can use brie, as I said, which is what I've done, so brie or camembert. You can also use a blue cheese if you wanted. Now, I'll just... This cheese sauce is really nice, especially if we use the blue. Would be really nice to stir through a pasta dish or to serve on steak. So this is just our dipping. With a couple of nuts in there, but that's okay. So that's going to be our dipping sauce to serve with the puffs, the pretzel puffs. So we're going to start putting together some items on our platter. And I'll give you some tips about how we're going to set it up once we get going. So I'll hand this over to...
We're going over to Vicky Bennett. Vicky B.
Hey everybody, hold on. Hello, sorry I was muted there. I'm going to be cooking sun-dried tomato tartare, and I've also had some wasabi deviled eggs ready to go, but I'll start with that. Now this is a vegan dish, which is really good for anyone who's a vegan. One thing I'd like to say before I start is you could use this as a dip or you could put it into the shaped molds, but I'll start cooking. Oh, before I start, I've had a Cosmopolitan, which is quite nice, and I made it in my Thermomix, and I used my really good peeler to peel the orange to go into it, which is a really good trick. So 2 to 3 sprigs of fresh flat leaf parsley, which I have got ready with what's next, which is my chives, which I've taken from my garden today. Next, some baby capers. I just got capers. I couldn't get baby capers, but that's ready to go. It's quite 20 grams. Okay. Next, Jasmine, can you stop that for a moment? Next, I've got pickled cucumber and some paprika. Quarter of a teaspoon. I don't have the rose gold ones. I'm going to have to get them, Megan. Might have to visit you too. Next, some mustard. A teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Just going in. And some black pepper. With a quarter of a teaspoon, add what you like. A bit of salt. Lid on. That's going to mix for 2 seconds. It's 2 seconds. Scrape down the sides. Smells delicious. And for another 3 seconds. Now we're going to add the sun-dried tomatoes. I actually drained them and then I sat them with a bit of paper towel because I found the first batch I made was a bit runny and I thought maybe that might help. That's my little tip. So 125 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. And I'll scrape down the sides as well. And that's for 3 seconds on speed 6. And that's about it. It's very easy, but I'll show you the mix. And it says to divide into 4 equal portions. The way I did it is I put it on a plate. It's a bit hard to see. It's not the easiest place to camera set up. So I just put it out on a plate. It says to use a cookie cutter, which I couldn't find the right size. So I'll show you what I ended up doing. So you can see how I think it would be great as a dip if you wanted to. Or split it into 4. Or you could make mini ones and make even smaller ones, which I think Megan did, didn't you, Megan? She's not listening. And then I just used a shot glass, which obviously has another use.
I did make mini ones. Sorry, I was around the back of the computer and couldn't mute. I'll show them to you in a minute.
I did this. There you go. There's another use for shot glasses, which is probably healthier for us all. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. I also made the deviled wasabi eggs, and that involved me making some wasabi mayonnaise and boiling the eggs. Now, boiling the eggs is really useful in the modes. I'll show you in a sec once I finish this last one. And you can see why if you're time poor, possibly using it as a dip might be easier. They look like that, but I'll show you my finished result on the other one in a sec. Now, I don't know if you can see my screen very well. Just going to go to the home. You can boil eggs using the modes, and you can have that prepared earlier. So I like to personally boil a dozen eggs a week, put them in the fridge. My husband uses them for lunch and I do too, but you can prepare them for this as well. So you go to I should wear my glasses, shouldn't I? Egg boiler. And it gives you an option of how you'd like your eggs. Now, if you're using it for something like the wasabi eggs, you need to hard boil them. So you just choose the hard boil mode and go with it. On the recipe, it tells you to use the egg basket. You don't need to do that for this recipe unless you want to follow the recipe from the scratch. Here's my wasabi mayo I've made earlier. Pretty good. Sterilize the jar, ready to go. Now, I'm going to show you. I've got 4 half eggs ready and my wasabi deviled egg filling. And I'm just going to fill it up here. And I'm going to show you my platter in a second so you can see how it all looks. I've also I have sprinkled paprika on the top. Get the last bit out. Oops. Okay. So they look like that, and I'll show you how I've plated it up. Sprinkle paprika and chives on my wasabi eggs. I put a little baby caper on the top with some biscuits, and that looks really ready to go. That's a vegetarian one. If you want to make it vegan, you wouldn't have the eggs, obviously. You just have some of that beetroot hummus that Di made earlier. That looks great. I'm done, Megan. Are you ready now, Megan, to plate up yours?
So we are just putting it all together on the board. So if we spotlight that one. All right. So hopefully you can see what we're doing here. All right, I'll give you a little bit of tour of everything that we've got. So because we wanted to show you what it looks like all together and we were all cooking in separate places, I spent a couple of hours yesterday making some of the things. So I pre-made the terrine, the beetroot dip, and the chutney to go on top of the brie yesterday. And then this morning I've made the phyllo pies and the eggs and the tartare. So this is sort of my little version of what Vicky made. I just used a little 2 centimetre cookie cutter, filled that, and then just stuck them on a little cracker, just so that we could move them easily. So that looks quite nice. We've got, this is our melted brie that Kim was making, and that's the topping for on top of that. What we might do is just skip back to Kim, because you've probably got yours ready to go, Kim.
I have.
And you can? All right, I'll show you. Skip to you for a second.
Okay, so what I've done I've taken out some of the red onion relish, and I've used the jam funnel. If you don't have a jam funnel, you can use the top of your Thermomix lid over your jar like so, and chip your jam, relish or jam, whatever. But I've used the jam funnel because it's got a smaller circle that you can actually sit in. So I've done that. So what I'm going to do is just push that aside and bring over my platter. So can you see that? So I'll turn that around there. So I'm going to just plate the brie. There. Okay. And I'll get some. So there's my relish. And what I've got on my platter, I have made a salmon mousse. I have got some cold meat and I'll keep filling it. I've actually made the herb and garlic dip, and I've put it into a capsicum that I got, cut off the lid and just stuck it back on top for the time being, and then can just put that aside. And that's it, Meg. Oh, no, I forgot the topping. Oh my goodness, I need to put the topping on my brie. So there's my topping that we made earlier on top of the brie, and there is plenty left. I've also just made some Brazilian cheese puffs, which I'm going to pop in somewhere as well. and then I'll keep going and I'll show you the end result. Thanks, Megan.
You're on mute, I think.
So, yeah, I think we're back. We're just getting it all set up. So you can see we've got the deviled eggs, the parmesan crisps, there's our terrine. You see everything quite well there, yeah. I've got the onion relish here with the terrine, and they go really beautiful together. We've got the phyllo pies, the little tomato tartare, the pretzel bites and the taleggio cheese dip, the beetroot hummus, the melted brie with the topping, the deviled eggs, phyllo pies, breadsticks. Yeah, so when you're putting it all together, we've used a really big board, obviously. You could make a smaller version of this, or you could even go bigger. And you just want to play around with the height and the colour. It's probably best to start by putting your big things on the board first. So we put our terrine and our phyllo pies and the pretzel bites, and then you sort of start filling in holes. Do you want to add something there?
Yeah, well, basically that's exactly what you do. You're putting in your big stuff. Think about your height and your colour. So you're spreading them around. Something as simple as with you serving your salami, you can just open it up like that, put your finger in, and you make a little rose. So they look nice in a bowl on its own, or you can just put them onto the platter itself. Same with the prosciutto. It's just a matter of rolling it. Now we could actually take those out of there and just lay them in here so that it's like a little pile or something in that side there. The other thing that you want to do too is when you are thinking about the edges of your platter, put the things that's not going to fall off. So this one's lucky because this has got the metal holders, which is fabulous. This is actually off my stove. So I had this made and it sits on my stove, but it's fantastic for using for these platters because you've got the sides. The other thing I wanted to show you was I've got all these little spoons that were my nan's. Oh, I've got all these little spoons that were my nan's, and you know, I don't know if anybody else has got plenty of them at home, but they work really well on a platter like this. You could also use like a teacup. So if you wanted to make it a bit fancy, you could put some things in a nice teacup, for instance, and just have that on the platter as well. The other thing that you could do, and I haven't done this yet, but I thought I'd give it a go, is I've got a crystal sort of a dish that's in compartments. So you could use that to put in the middle and then put some different things around it. So just to give you a bit of height and a bit of different way of presenting things. But be brave, be bold, have a go. You know, and really all you're trying to do is fill the holes. And we've made some fabulous recipes today. So we'd love to see what you're doing.
Absolutely. All right, what I might quickly do is just share my screen with you, and I just want to show you some things on Cookie Do to help you find some of these recipes. Okay, so can everyone see my Cookie Do, or are we still spotlighted on? You can? Okay, awesome. Okay, so when you're going through Cookie Do and you find a recipe that you like the look of, so let's go to that sun-dried tomato tartare. We can cook it today or add it to our weekly plan, and we know all of those things, but we can also make a collection ourselves. So I've started a collection called Entertaining. So I can now add to that collection. I could create it if I hadn't made it already. And you might want to just call it Grazing Platters. But I can start adding these recipes as I find them when I'm scrolling through at other times, or if I see other people making them, or after today, you might want to look at the list and add them all in. But a really good way of actually finding some of those things is to use what we call the tags. So when you scroll down to the bottom here, you can see that a lot of the recipes are hashtagged with different things. And some of those dishes, some of those tags will help you actually search for other things. So there's a party tag, there's a picnic tag, there's a canapes tag. So if you actually search just by that tag, it'll narrow down what you're looking for. and you can find things. So you can click those hyperlinks like I just did in the bottom of that recipe. Or when we're actually searching, move that thing out of the way. If we're searching for a recipe, we can go into our filters and you can see here that we've got tags here as well. So I found a tag this morning for, I think it was party. Oops. Is that what I was looking at? Dinner party. There was a buffet and party, so lots of different things. If you're particularly looking for something, like a particular ingredient, you can also add that in. So you can start really getting into the nitty-gritty of your searching. You can narrow down times if you want to make sure that it's, you know, done really quickly. I think that a lot of these things that we've cooked today can actually be made in advance. So if you are catering to a big party, have a look at what you can make, you know, in a couple of days beforehand, so that that particular day isn't a real rush for you. So there you go, some little cheddar profiterole rolls. So in my collection that I started just briefly this morning, found some little watermelon canapes with a whipped feta, tuna tapenade, mini chicken pies, cheese puffs with honeyed goat's cheese. So just lots of different things that I thought would be really nice. Some gougere puffs with salmon mousse. I thought they might be nice for Melbourne Cup Day. So yeah, lots of different ideas for you. Now, if you're not feeling really confident with cookie dough, please get in touch with your consultant, because you know that your consultant would love to help you get more comfortable with that. And also, obviously, you can turn it into a demo and get yourself some host rewards. Where am I? There we go. A bit close. Yeah, we've got a fabulous deal at the moment. So you can get your TM6 and your second bowl for just an extra $29 on top of that. So if you know people that potentially could be interested in seeing the Thermomix, now's a really good time to talk to your consultant and organise that demo. Has anyone got any questions that they'd like to shout out? Any of the other consultants want to add anything before we finish up?
Megan.
When does that current offer expire, Megan?
The second bowl offer, we've got until the 2nd of December for that one. So you've still got plenty of time. We do have the extra host reward at the moment of the little 4-work mini vac, which is fantastic. So that ends on the 2nd of November. So get in quick if you're interested in seeing that. And we've got 36 months interest free back too. So that's another bonus. Kimmy, were you going to say something else?
When you said, anyone got any questions? And my husband said, hurry up, dig in, don't wait.
I know. Well, I think we're going to have to invite all the neighbours in again, because we've got so much food over here.
I'm trying to show us her finished product.
Oh, hang on. Di's got her finished product there. Let's have a look.
Yes.
Just spotlight you, Di.
So these are just out of the oven now. They smell really, really good. The pastry's just cooked through. They're really nice and light. And yeah, they're excellent. Give them a go.
Look great.
Really good for substitutions too. If you didn't want to add the chorizo, you could add in a different vegetable. If you didn't want to add the potato, pop some sweet potato or cauliflower in. Make them all veg, that's fine. Yeah, experiment a little bit and go for it. They're great.
Thanks, Di. All right. So if no one else has any questions for us, thank you again for joining us. I will send out a follow-up email again. We did have a little bit of trouble sending out our link for the last recording, but what we are doing is starting our own YouTube channel. So we will have all of our videos available for you to watch on YouTube. So we will send all of those, we'll send that link so you can access all of those very shortly. Mary, did you have a question? Hang on, you're still on mute. Let me unmute you. Oh.
Right. In the beetroot thing, when I looked up the recipe, it said that the beetroot was uncooked, and I noticed that the lady said it was cooked. So I was just wondering which one it is, because the recipe says uncooked.
Might be
beetroot,
a different recipe.
raw beetroot.
Also,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put in here. You can use fresh beetroot. Doesn't make much difference. I use fresh beetroot in my beetroot salad. I just think it's a personal preference. I think cooked beetroot might mush up a bit easier, don't you think, Diane?
Yeah, I think that the fresh beetroot might be a bit too chunky for this dip, and there's probably several beetroot hummus
Right.
dips
That's
on
just
there.
a different one. Yeah.
Yeah, scroll back through the chat, and I
Yep.
did paste the actual link. I'll put them into their follow-up email that I do as well.
Great.
But that particular one was definitely a cooked beetroot.
Cooked one. Yep. Good. Thank you.
All right, nice to see you, Mary.
Thank you. You too.
You're on mute, Megan.
All right, our next cooking class, we will be planning tomorrow night because we have a team meeting, and we were really hoping that we were getting together so that we could bring all of this food to our team meeting and share it. However, with the change of restrictions between Greater Sydney and regional, we aren't actually doing that, unfortunately. However, we will be getting together on Zoom and planning our next cooking classes, so keep your eyes out for those. We will also be having a face-to-face cooking class in December in Taroji. So I don't even think I've told all my team about this yet, but we're doing a Christmas gift idea class with some of the other Wollongong teams as well. So keep your eyes out for that too. And if you're local to the area, then we would love to see you at that one. That's it from us. Have a lovely Sunday afternoon, and we will see you next time.
Thank you everyone for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Good work.
Bye, everyone, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy the spoils.
Oh, okay, Gillian, have I